Tonight's message is definitely for Josephine. Hi, it's Coco again. Listen, I wanted to give you a heads up about this guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he was a blogger. I know how you feel about bloggers. He was blogging all kinds of things about you, and I really didn't like it, so I went to go visit him. I started talking about how rich and in-depth the world of Night Vale was, and how, if he could just see past the surface, he could really soak up the richness of it all. I hoped I could convince him to give Night Vale a second chance, but he just wouldn't listen. He just went on and on about the police, and how did you get in here, and what is that tattooed on your forehead? I tried to be reasonable, really did, but he turned his back on me. And you know how I hate it when people turn their back on me. Anyway, long story short, you have an alibi for last night between 10 p.m. and let's say 3? Could we say I was with you? You'd be doing me a real solid. Get back to me about that ASAP, okay? Oh, the blogger? Don't worry about him. He won't bother us anymore. Catch you later.
The number you have dialed has been changed.
The klaxon began to wail. The klaxon began to wail.
My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes.
The klaxon began to wail.
Greetings, listeners, and welcome to Good Morning Night Vale Tonight. Before we get started, though, I have some much-needed corrections. Last week, it was announced that Thursday was a recycling hiccup day. Thursday was, in fact, recycling pickup day. Most of you easily figured out what we intended, but some of you did not. What is wrong with you people? What possessed you to try and recycle that? I mean, why would you even cut that out and stick it in a recycling bin? I mean, ugh. You need help. Seriously. Get help. This has been Corrections. Listeners, tonight is a very special episode where we address a rather touchy issue: suicide. As you may be aware, a few weeks ago, one of the teenagers over at the orphanage committed suicide, and despite a rather extensive and lengthy search, she continues to remain dead. Not only is suicide illegal, but any form of unapproved death, as passed by the town council last year. Before we get to talking about suicide, I wish to address the law against dying. I knew this was going to happen. Now, you may not be aware, since learning about the past is forbidden. Back in the early part of last century, there was a time when the consumption of alcohol was illegal and not mandatory like it is today. It gave rise to an entire underclass of ne'er-do-wells and organized crime that took advantage of the demand for alcohol and caused so much havoc in our great nation that eventually they had to reverse their position in hopes of undoing the damage they had done. I believe the same thing is happening here in Night Vale. There is a rise in the number of illegal deaths. I have done investigations, and as horrible and as dirty as I feel about actually seeking to uncover the truth, the facts are that this situation has only led to the growth of a seedy underbelly in Night Vale, of criminals lurking in shadows, with death hidden underneath their trench coats. First hits free, as they say. This is a call for sanity. This is a call for awareness. As long as dying is criminalized, only criminals will die. I remember when I signed my contract renewal, I promised never to get political, but I'm prepared for my 90 minutes in the black box, for this is a worthy cause. So tonight, I'm holding a candlelight vigil out at the Eric Estrada Memorial Graveyard and Go-Kart track here at Jennifer's Grave, which is just up the hill past Dead Man's Curve, which I find to be a rather ironic name if you ask me. I ask all of Night Vale, please come out and show your support. There's no need to bring a candle, for I bought a whole box of them from the Sand Waste Whale Watchers. Hope to see you before the end of the evening. And now, business news. A new company has moved into Night Vale by the name of Helitech. They are hiring. When asked why they wanted it announced in the dead of night when almost nobody is listening, the representative said, "We're looking to hire customer service representatives, and we want only the very best misanthropes that Night Vale has to offer." When asked, why Night Vale, the answer was, because your town has very lucrative tax breaks. It is centrally located for our telecommunication needs, what with every single phone in America being monitored right here. Plus, given your town's fatality rate, you must be chock full of sociopaths and axe murderers, exactly the type of self-driven go-getters we look for in customer service. He continued by taking the mic and shoving intern Phil to the ground. You see, here at Helitech, companies that can't or won't bother with customer service hire us to handle it for them. True, some people claim we don't treat our customers right. But I'm here to tell you that Helitech treats each and every customer like royalty. Trust me, when you hire us to handle the slack-jawed mouth breathers who keep wasting your valuable time with complaints, we treat you right. When the intern got to his feet, he asked the spokesman if he could give some examples. Well, sometimes a consumer will call in with a complaint, something like, "I only got 44 cans of cat food instead of 48, or "My wife's back burst into flames when I applied the medicine," stuff like that. When that happens, the spokesman paused while he sucker punched intern Phil in the stomach, then continued, "Do something like this." And if that doesn't work, we blame the customer. In fact, we have our new quality initiative called For Your Convenience. When something goes wrong, we tell the customer it's for his convenience. It's not a defect, it's a feature. If we're lucky, cognitive dissonance kicks in and the caller goes insane. Spitting up blood, intern Phil asked if that seemed a little harsh. The spokesman replied, "Look, solving problems usually only makes more problems. We don't kick problems down the road, we get rid of them." For example, just last month, one of our customer service representatives at a recently closed branch of Helitech actually helped because of that. Bristol Squibb will have to recall 38,000 units of Litoderm patches and destroy all of them. Their product will, from now on, have warnings on the box about how flammable the product is, and each patch will have to have an individual sticker stating "fire hazard." This has cost our clients millions. Why? Because some idiot thought it would be nice if the patch was warmed up and figured, hey, it's almost the same size as a Pop-Tart, I'm sure it'll be safe to heat it up in the toaster. If you dealt with idiots like this all day, you'd want them dead as well. This has been Business News. Hello, listeners. Nobody has shown up yet, which is fine. I know it's late at night and this is a bad time for people to just come wandering by, but maybe you could get up a little early and swing by before work. I have been asked, why didn't I do this during the daytime? Two reasons. One, I'm an albino. I have many allergies. For example, the smell of garlic makes me violently ill, and I cannot stand holy water because I am lactose intolerant, and direct sunlight causes me to burst into flames. A second, I asked, and I was turned down. Not to whine about it, but as soon as I heard Cecil was taking a vacation, I rushed down to management's stone slab, hurriedly chanted the rites of pacification, and I requested I be permitted to fill in for Welcome to Night Vale until Cecil got back. I mentioned that all they would have to do is cover the window and I'd be fine. I mean, all the mirrors on that floor are already covered anyways, so... But no, instead I got a oil painting portrait of myself being dragged into a sarlacc pit. And for some reason, the painting had the rather simple title, "We will eat you before you even have a chance to enter the booth," in blue. So, Hosting this event during the day is a no-go. On to suicide awareness. Suicide attempts are usually when someone has been worn down through stress leading to depression and hopelessness. There are a number of warning signs. Acting differently than people normally do, talking about wanting to die, talking about feeling hopeless, trapped in unbearable pain, an increase in the use of alcohol, acting anxious or agitated, acting recklessly, sleeping too little or too much, withdrawing or feeling isolated, showing rage or talking about seeking revenge, and displaying extreme mood swings. I just noticed that list actually could be just about everyone I know in Night Vale. And now, letters from the listeners. I got a question. Last week, I read about how we don't have enough organ donors. So I marked off on the box on the back of my driver's license that I'm okay on having my organs donated. Ever since then, I found myself signed up for something called the Voluntary Euthanasia Party, and I've been getting pamphlets in the mail. So I went to their booth outside the Ralphs to disenroll, but someone jumped out from behind a fern and tried to stick a needle in my neck while crying out, "You're so civic-minded." I managed to fight him off, flee into a Land's End, and lose him by pretending to be a mannequin. The whole time he was constantly praising what a forward-thinking individual I was and how he admired my dedication to worthy causes. My problem is, I don't want to donate my organs quite yet. However, the things he said about me were really uplifting to my self-esteem. I find myself taunting him and then fleeing into the night, playing a game of cat and mouse so I can hear the many nice things he says about me, but I think I might be hurting his feelings by not letting him harvest my internal organs. What should I do? Sincerely, Dying for Attention. Dear Dying, well, as my mother always said, don't marry the one you love, marry the one who loves you. Well, that may seem cynical. What it means is that you need to pick a partner that is best for you. That advice also goes for your partner. If the person you pick for yourself also picks who's best for him, you both might get lucky and pick each other. If you are both selfish in picking someone who loves you and you choose to be with each other, you know the relationship will work out. Otherwise, stop stringing him along. Either figure out if you want to be with him or move on and give him a chance to find someone else who he is more compatible with. Playing games only works in sitcoms and in the annual ritualized hunt of the Sin Eater. This has been Letters from the Listener. And now, science news. Ever since the sun started setting in the north, it has been a source of unusual controversy. There has been a call from the Pulsar facility for extra funding to use their machinery to work on returning the sun to its original path. Or rather, they have a solution which involves turning the entire planet on its side, which should put things back to normal, more or less. However, Walton Kincaid of the community action group Soundproof Old Town and his organization have been blocking any attempt to put the sun back on its original track. They point out that ever since the sun started setting in the north, that horrible solar shrieking that occurs every sundown has finally stopped. Walton Kincaid is well known as the first citizen ever to successfully attend a town meeting on the highest ledge overlooking Skeleton Gorge. Apparently, on top of spontaneously growing 8 spider-like eyes, he also developed the means to cling to any surface, making the climb rather anticlimactic. Ever since then, Walter Kincaid has been a political thorn in the town council's side, since it is well known that anyone who attends a meeting at the ledge of the ancestors and conducts a proper air burial, thus pledging your eternal soul to the service of the dreaded Pazuzu, you gain immunity to reality television and the ability to fly. Being a half-man, half-spider who is able to watch Jersey Shore without vomiting, as well as no longer being bound by the laws of gravity, is a real advantage when you are a backroom negotiator. an edge that he uses infrequently, as he is a humble man who prefers to spend his days lurking under a bucolic meadow hidden by a trapdoor woven from silks that he pulled from his throbbing abdomen. Kincaid stated he has collected enough meat in his catacombs. He has had his vacation time approved and went so far as to schedule an appointment for a carapace makeover at Haranoia, because, we all deserve to be pampered once in a while. However, if Helios's death cries return, he won't get a lick of hibernation. Kincaid has taken to hovering outside the windows of prominent Knight's Vale citizens and playing episodes of MTV's The Real World on his iPad, until the cries of mercy are pleasing to the hairs on his legs that he uses both for listening and detecting the vibrations of passing prey. This has been Science News. Listeners, if there are any listeners, I continue to sit here alone. Not a single person has come by. Not a phone call. Not an email. Not a text. Not a single wave from the people driving past in the go-karts. Nothing. Came here tonight to make a point. That point has been made. Point is, there is no point. Good things happen to bad people, bad things happen to good people. The universe is a random and chaotic thing where any hope of ever finding meaning is about as pathetic as my life. I get it now. I understand. I finally see the light. There ain't no hope. There ain't no justice. There ain't no Santa Claus. There ain't no Tooth Fairy. And... there ain't no coffee.
I stand above this cliff and offer up my soul. Would there be an end to pain? To jump into this hole? Could this be goodbye? If there's a light below me, will it set me free? Could I fly today? Is this my only option? Close my eyes. With no one here to help, only ravens see my tears. There is no way back for me, it seems. I'll fly against my fears, fulfill my dreams. So this is goodbye. Feathers of black surround me. Lift my head and soar. With raven I will fly. Nothing is gonna stop me. Peace forever.
Listeners, as I wandered about the cemetery trying to find a coffee maker, I eventually found an espresso machine at the tomb of President Millard Fillmore. Buried and defeated both in heart and soul, I returned to my makeshift broadcast table planning my packing up. You can imagine my surprise when I bumped into Mayor Cardinal. I raised my head to see her standing silently there, long obsidian robes, trimmed with vermilion hieroglyphics. I was speechless. For in bone and silver-clad hands was held a single lit candle. The dim glow illuminated an empathetic face with a sympathetic smile. Her only acknowledgement of my presence were eyes that slowly closed as her head bowed, ever so slowly. Having given in to hopelessness, her presence actually staggered me. I stumbled back, my hand grasping blindly behind me, and finding a crumbling tombstone, I held on, knuckles that started to turn white. That was when I saw the crowd that had gathered. They were silent in the dying darkness. Each one was lit by a single light, the sources of which were as strange and as varied as the denizens of our fair city. They all came in reverent silence, respectful, regretful. Only my voice carried out into the approaching dawn. Described what I saw. I am describing what I see. This is not just for those present, those that have attended. This is not a gathering of people. This is a gathering of community. Unite, shared pain. All of those who can be here are here. It is to those of you who cannot be here that I now speak. Whatever your reason for not coming, I'm sure your heart is with us. I see a gentleman with a large sack of them walking past my table as I speak. But perhaps there are some of you who are not here not because of the circumstances you find yourself in, but because you believe you do not belong. That is what caused all of this to begin with. One of us, not believing they are one of us. You are one of us. You belong here. You are part of this community just by listening to this broadcast. You have joined us. We have welcomed you. Not that being one of us will protect you. Like all families, we will fight, and we will be rivals. There will be betrayals, and we will lie to one another. But worst of all, we will lie to ourselves. A community exists to share the burdens of life. This is one of those rare times that we all come together. Soon, we will break apart. It is easy to silently show we care. Everyone does it all the time. Things we feel that never need be said go unsaid. Well, tonight, I say those things. I care. We care. Sometimes you need to tell people you need help. Sometimes it falls on deaf ears. Sometimes help is slow in coming. When that happens, it doesn't mean no one cares. It means you haven't reached someone who cares. You may have to speak to someone you've never met. You may have to be blunt. You may have to shout, I need help. There's no shame in these words. Sometimes it's hard to understand one another. Sometimes misunderstandings can become penetrable. Sometimes you just want to end it all. But no matter how bad things get, there is always hope. You can find it just about anywhere. If you give people a chance, they just might surprise you. Sometimes, every once in a while, but not very often, but sometimes, you can have your faith restored just by looking for a cup of coffee. Have a good morning, Night Vale. Good Morning Night Vale tonight is a total ripoff of Welcome to Night Vale, and we are totally coasting on their amazing reputation. Head over to Commonplace Books and buy some stuff. They said on their FAQ that making fan stuff was okay. Soon they will know the folly of their ways. Some of the music was stolen from Desperation. Their security system is no match for my crack squad of ninjas. Mostly it's free play stuff from Google Play. The coffee break was Ravens by 6 Notes. This is going to be the last one I do alone. I got a bunch of new people to help me out who are, for some reason I cannot explain, actually listening to what I say. Expect for the crazy to get cranked up to 11. Weep for the children. And as always, there's only one person to blame: Bob.